Okay, this is Chaos and Coffee number 20. My name is Justin Brown. I'll be your host. We have regulars today, Darth Tux and Draco. We are talking about random topics of conversation and enjoying coffee. Yeah, we are here for your entertainment and education. I should probably keep away from the Adam Sandler voices. I forgot we were talking about like soda pop drinks and their openings.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's particularly exciting for people, though.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it is either.
No. Net neutrality is, though.
Yeah, I forgot. I was about to bring that up. That you guys have destroyed net neutrality. The apocalypse has come.
I take no responsibility for this.
Yeah. Dude, these are okay.
We didn't get a vote on this shit, man.
The U.S. is messed up. The U.S. does a lot of things that are kind of silly, right? One of those is trying to end net neutrality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to go before Congress. This commission's
thankfully,
this commission's vote has a long ways to go. So yeah, it's good that we spread awareness for it. Don't get me wrong. This is a great topic and it is happening. It's not like I'm trying to say the flood isn't occurring. It's definitely a thing we should be worried about. There are countries without net neutrality right now.
Yeah, it's just down to Congress or down to people talking to the congressmen to that they throw this out, because there was nothing wrong with it. There was a reason why we all wanted net neutrality in the first place, because the ISPs were trying to extort money, basically extort money out of Netflix, and even though they might have the money to pay for it, like smaller companies aren't really going to have that money. If they say, well, we're going to throttle you, then there's nothing they can do about it, and there's no sort of no law to stand in the way to prevent them from doing
it. And even outside of that, I mean, it also leaves the door open for them to sell you packages. Oh, you want to access Netflix or YouTube or whatever? Well, that'll be an extra $15 a month, or we're going to block you.
I think there'd be riots if that happened.
Just as they sell you cable TV.
Yeah, I can. I'm not sure. Technically, it does. There's a possibility that they can go down that route, but to be honest, I don't think it'd go that route. I think there'd be riots if that had happened. I think everyone would just lose their mind. There's internet segregation. Basically, they'll be segregating the internet into little sections where, you'd select what websites you want to go to in advance, or they'll have a cheap package, which a lot of people will be on, and they'll just be stuck on mainstream websites, preventing them from going to alternative media, which they've wanted to do for a long time. They've wanted to stamp out alternative media because it's a threat to their business model or some people's business model. So it's like stamping out the competition. So yeah. It's the behind-the-scenes stuff I think we need to worry about.
Control of the masses.
Yeah, they want to get control back because they've lost it at the moment.
I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a moment on this, right? Because you guys both seem to be in agreement on it. And while I agree with what you both said, I'm just going to throw out some opposition.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
In Portugal, where net neutrality... I don't think they ever had a net neutrality law, so the net had to develop very much under the thumb of the corporate powers, yeah?
Yeah.
So in Portugal, for example, when you subscribe to Amazon Prime, Amazon pays for your internet.
So they're paying those companies just to have their service?
So you'd pay, it'd be bundled together. If you bought Netflix, you'd buy internet with Netflix, or if you bought Amazon Prime or Hulu or any of these mainstream streaming outlets, right?
Yeah.
Then you would also be buying an internet package with them. So like Charles was saying, or like Darth was saying, it's like having cable television again. They're trying to make it so that exactly like you were saying. God damn it, I'm too much in agreement.
Yeah, striking up deals, basically. Yeah,
there's no way of painting this in a good light where it would ever work.
Yeah,
I tried.
And that whole excuse of, oh, well, we don't see any evidence of mass misuse of net neutrality. Well, that's because we have net neutrality.
Yeah,
we have laws that prevent that shit. You're just sitting there telling us, oh, well, there's no sign that we've been doing the shit we want to do.
They did it in the past.
So let's get rid of this so we can do it. And then, hey, everybody prospers, right?
This is kind of bad for me to say, but like I'm not sure, I'm not sure how the law is in England as regards to net neutrality. I've never bothered to look it up really, but like I was looking at a few like packages, and you know how they have data limits on some of them. Like they seem to have striked up some deals so that on certain streaming sites, it doesn't count towards your data limit. So say if you go on Netflix, or maybe if you stream from Spotify or something, then it means that it doesn't count towards your data limit. So it's kind of like indirectly encouraging you to use that service. So they've probably like struck up some sort of deal. Maybe they've paid them or something. I don't know. But it is best to just to keep it open, not even to push people towards certain products, I think, because I'm very much pro sort of small to medium business, and even though that big businesses do have their place, I think we need to be really careful about monopolies, and we are getting we are at that point where there is giant monopolies that dominate not just the internet service provider world, like
it's everywhere.
Yeah, like Facebook and Google are basically monopolies at this point. There's no competitors. Like, especially when you look at something like YouTube, there's been a lot of alternative medias. Like people say, oh, why don't you just make an alternative to YouTube? Well, there's people that try, but you've got to think there's petabytes worth of data that's constantly being updated every single day. That takes a lot of data, just storage space as well as
and I mean, hell, the hardware for that can cost you millions.
Yeah, and then there's the data that's going to be going backwards and forwards.
Not like back when YouTube first started with a couple 486 servers, you know.
Yeah, but I think there's a site called BitChute, which they have this sort of I'm not 100% on how the technology works, but it's something like a peer-to-peer type thing. Like it's like a torrent type thing in your browser, but it's seamless, and that seems like a good way of sharing the bandwidth. So if you're watching a video, then I think if it fully buffers, then I don't know, it probably helps someone else watch it. I'm not 100% on how it works, but that seems to be a good way of going. But as far as storing the actual videos, I'm not sure how that works. So yeah, it's a complicated issue to get around, but yeah, something needs to be done, certainly, not just about the internet service providers, but as far as free speech goes on the internet, because a lot of these like Twitters and Facebooks, it's not socially acceptable to be a conservative in a lot of these mainstream sites, which I think is kind of toxic. You don't want to sort of push certain ideas into the dark, you know, because then they go unchallenged and you create echo chambers. It doesn't make it go away. That's
one of the, and probably the biggest thing that has made the internet so great is the fact that it is free and open. Yeah. Everybody has voice.
I mean, it's important, and that's slowly being sort of eroded away as time goes on, and it's a shame as well. And they don't really think about the social impact that this sort of censorship happens. I like what the consequences are, because at the moment it seems to be coming from the far authoritarian left, where they want to censor people, anyone to the right of Lenin, basically. Like this, the extreme communist types. But the funny thing is, it's backfiring on them, because now because it seems to be trendy to hate on white people. now those people are starting to get hit for like hate speech and stuff like that. So they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by asking for censorship.
Well, you know, the masses don't know, and a lot of them don't care.
Yeah.
And the ones that do know and do care, the ones that are in charge, they want this. They want complete and total control over everything. I mean, it's not just the internet.
Yeah.
Read 1984 and tell me that's not where we're headed.
Yeah, it's like as if they took it as an instruction manual. Like, oh, 1984, that seems like a good idea. We'll do that.
What was funny to me was I was first turned on to that book by a girl who grew up in the CIA, and she presented it to me as a guide, not as a science fiction novel, as a guide.
That's kind of messed up.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
She swore up and down that Orwell was an insider who was writing about their plans.
Like a visionary.
Yeah, and 1984 was the decade they had originally slated to become this dystopian government or society globally.
Yeah. It doesn't stop how people think. This is one of the biggest things that I'm a free speech absolutist. I don't think there should be any restrictions on speech. Like, but besides the obvious thing like shouting fire in a crowded room sort of thing. Yeah, I don't think there should be any restrictions on free speech, especially on the internet, because it's of no consequence a lot of the times. Like, just let people say whatever they want, because if you can't say it, they're still going to think it. It's not going to stop them from having these thoughts and from acting on them. So it's not going to make it go away. It's that out of sight, out of mind, kind of brush it under the carpet mentality. And it's not a long-term strategy, really.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I absolutely agree that brushing any topic underneath the carpet is not the thing to do. I think censorship. I will say that censorship happens on both sides. Like, it's not necessarily a left or a right thing.
Yeah. It's just I mainly see it coming from the left. Like, there's certainly I do see it come from the far right, like the far right snowflakes, as well as there's definitely people on both sides that are for censorship or for limiting. What I mainly get annoyed by is the limiting of behavior by one side or the other. Like, you can't do this or that, but at the same time, they want the freedom to. Let's say conservatives want the freedom to express their religion, right? Yeah.
And liberal people, for the most part, want the freedom to live their lives as they see fit. Yeah. So
I wouldn't really like. Yeah, when you say liberal, I think classical liberalism. Like, I don't even agree that this sort of because
classic
basically
liberalism would be.
Yeah.
Can you summarize it for us though?
Have taken over the concept of being liberal, because a classical liberal traditionally meant like the freedom of the individual. It's still in Europe. If you look anywhere in Europe,
I think it still exists here in America. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, like Sargon of Akkad, basically, he calls himself a classical liberal.
A lot of us Americans like to talk about being liberal, but we're not.
Yeah, like, it's just when you look at that political spectrum, at the top you have authoritarian, and at the bottom, the opposite of authoritarian, you have libertarian, and then you have the left and the right. So being a conservative or being on the right doesn't mean that you're not libertarian as far as a classical liberal terminology. It's just the problem is all of these definitions are starting to get really hazy, and the political lines are being redrawn for the first time in a long time.
Well, that's because nobody really fits into any of those boxes.
Yeah, I have a problem with the whole concept of
I like the compass.
Nobody is
idea.
really, extremely far right or extremely far left. Most people fall right in the middle. Ish.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can have two people directly in the center, and their opinions could be complete opposite, which means
I like the compass idea. You know, the political compass.
Well,
that's the thing I have a problem with, really.
Yeah, I look at it more like a compass spectrum. Like instead of just a left or right, it's like Jaco was saying, there's a left, right, and an up and down. You know, like
yeah.
So you could be really far on the right, but very liberal. Hence, libertarians, or like a more classical liberal. You could be very far on the left, right, and be very authoritarian.
Yeah.
I.e., communism. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think most people reside somewhere in the middle. If you take a test, I think it's if you go to political compass test, I don't know, Google political compass test or political test, right? And they'll ask you a series of questions, like 20 questions, and then they put you on a spectrum. There's a wonderful, humorous image of political balls, that depicts the whole entire spectrum in a very funny manner.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the bottom right, center sort of area. So
my issue with all this is that in politics, you must fall into one of these boxes, fit in one of these specific categories, and everything's done for party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When the true focus should be the actual issue.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It should be on the individual issues. Like, I know it's convenient to group things together, but it can have more harm than benefit sometimes, and it is better to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
Like
the only time they really focus on an issue, it's usually an issue that either should have been decided a long stinking time ago, or they have absolutely no intentions on actually solving.
Yeah,
it's just
probably why they
want to think gay marriage is such an issue. Why is gay marriage such an issue? It shouldn't be. The Constitution of the United States says that you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So that should allow gay marriage right there. Yeah,
it's your rights end where mine begin.
That's where it should quote arguing point, so that it can look to everybody on the outside like, oh, they're actually doing something. They're arguing actual solid, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Bullshit issues that they don't need to be discussing to begin with.
Right. It falls into separation of church and state. The second somebody says we should have this policy because of my religion, sorry, it failed the test. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen, brother. Preach it.
Lately, I've heard this thing where people go, like when somebody says something like, that's of any clout, like or any validity to the statement, right? You go, say it again, louder, so the people in the back can hear it. I love that one, dude. People have been posting it like on as a comment on political or social things on different networks like the Instagram and stuff. People just say it again, louder. Oh man,
I'll have to remember that one.
Oh yeah, if somebody says something at the store, or somebody says something at the DMV, or in some place like a classroom, right, or whatever, right? Yeah, yell that out. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't like this identity politics that's come up either, and you see that on both the left and the right as well. And there's going to be a big clash. It seems that way anyway.
As much as I like to go off on the Republicans, fact of the matter is Democrats are just as screwed up.
Yeah. This whole idea of just dealing with people based on their race, like, oh, you belong to this race, so we're going to group you all together, or like, you belong to this political whatever, so we're going to group you all together, or like, we're all gay, so we're going to all group you together. And it's like, no, people are individuals. Like, stop just grouping people together. Like, it's just
the opposite of that, though, strength in numbers. Like, I mean, some of these people are self-grouping or self-organizing because of a minority status, or because their rights aren't protected, right?
But then the problem with that is they start to talk as if they speak for everyone that identifies with that. Like, oh well, we're all gay, so we talk for every gay person. And then there's some individuals who are gay, and they're like, well, you don't speak for me. I don't agree with you. Like, you don't talk on my behalf. I don't like. You know?
Yeah,
So,
I understand that. I agree with that. I think what's happening there is that those groups or the people representing those groups, and as you're saying, sometimes misrepresenting those groups, are utilizing an age-old trick of saying we.
it's fascism, strength in numbers. That's the bundle of sticks thing, where you have one stick you can break it. You put a bundle of women in, and they're stronger. Like that's fascism. That's authoritarian.
That's something else I want
to. It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I have a
something
problem with it.
I want to bring up before I leave.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fasci, there's something I want to bring up before I leave, and anybody can test this. I challenge you. Go to YouTube, look up any Congress meeting, congressional hearing, what the hell ever. I do not care. Behind the speaker, there is a pillar on each side. Next to those pillars is a fasci. Two of them, one on each side.
Where at?
There's a word for that bundle of sticks, but I don't think that you can use it.
Dude. Yeah, I was at the White House recently. I was at Congress recently. We went to the Supreme Court building, right? And the Supreme Court building has a wonderful museum on the first floor that shows the Emperor Justinian of Constantinople. It shows various lawgivers, Moses, and depicted various times is the passing of both the torch, right, from like Minerva to Liberty, which is like American, like Lady Liberty is like our goddess, right? And or one of them. You mean
the Roman goddess Liberté?
Right. Yes. And so. Yeah, the Roman Empire, there's a wonderful rap song by a guy named Brother Ali. I saw him in Santa Barbara. I want to get back to this DC story, but okay, so in DC, there's all these fasces, or like all these bundles of sticks with an axe, or a bundle of sticks with a torch, being handed down from Greek god to Greek god, Roman god, throughout all of the wonderful marble work of that area, right? And if you zoom out on Washington, D.C., get on your Google Maps, ladies and gentlemen, and just go to Washington, D.C., and just zoom out until you see the head of Baphomet, okay?
No comment.
This rapper named Brother Ali said the Roman Empire done handed it down, right? Like
most definitely.
Yeah, it says he does a wonderful lyric about it. I'll have to look it up here later on the show or whatever. We should actually look to our outside chat and see if we've had any comments in our YouTube.
Oh, speaking of, now that we're at a stopping place here, I'm gonna have to cut out.
Okay, cool. We're gonna check our comments, and thanks for joining us, Darth. Always a pleasure, regular, and we'll try to keep this conversation going without you. It'll be a little bit less chaotic, I must admit.
Yeah, I know, man. If it wasn't a family Christmas thing, I wouldn't be going.
Bro, I hear you. My wife's at church right now, and that's how long I could broadcast till, you know?
That's right, brother. All right, man. Y'all have a great week. I'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, right on.
Entropy decreases.
I'm still trying to find that polyball. I've been kind of like half detached, like doing another process in my brain. There is no such thing as multitasking, folks. You just gotta.
It doesn't exist. You're just switching tasks.
I'm switching tasks. I want to address this a bit. Some of the things we've discussed, like censorship on both sides. I just want to check our outside.
Yeah, we should have that open.
I open it up periodically. It throws off how many viewers we have because it puts me as a viewer, I think. You know nobody's commented on the outside chat yet, so that's fine. And carrying on with the conversation. Somebody's asked to join. Let me help that guy out. I agree with a lot of what you say, except for over here. I have to be totally candid. It's a mere opposite of where you're at, right? Like where you're at, conservatives are pretty logical, and the liberals are out there, right? Except for, of course, the most recent incarnation with Miss May, right?
She's
a bit out.
She doesn't represent conservatives. So
I think like you were saying, there's classical liberals and conservatives, right? And there's neoliberals and neoconservatives, right? Like, I mean, I've heard that described over here. I'm gonna give you
there's a new conservative movement that's brewing over in America as well. Like, they're just a lot younger. They're not so religious. Like, a lot of them come from sort of like people that were center left who were kind of fed up with the politics of the far left. And they're kind of just been wandering. They're kind of like homeless in a sense, sort of politically homeless, and they've kind of just been wandering around trying to find a place where they fit, and they've kind of been constructing this sort of new conservative movement where
I'm familiar.
If you think about what conservative
and whatnot,
like what
Ben Shapiro, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I like Ben Shapiro. Like, I don't agree 100%.
You'd say he'd be a representative of the movement that you're describing.
Yeah, but both Ben. Hold on, someone's fucking.
No worries. Somebody's messaged me too. I got like all of a sudden outside messages.
And Ben Shapiro and Milo Yiannopoulos, even though they don't like.
See, I wouldn't consider him part of a. He's still very identity.
He's a troll, really. Like he is a troll, but and they don't like each other, but that's kind of a spectrum of what to expect from this sort of new.
You really can't call. He's a troll. I'll agree with you that Milo's a troll or Milo's a troll. But I won't. Dude, we can't call him conservative, dude.
Well, he calls himself a conservative, and a lot of his beliefs are conservative. So
I can call myself an elephant. It doesn't make it true.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Like, but a lot of his,
he participates in Hollywood drug parties. Like, he goes to. I don't know if I should say all this. This might be an after show content. Goodness.
And I do sway more towards Ben Shapiro's as far as politics go. Like, just to nail it down, as far as politics, Ben Shapiro. But and also Milo is entertaining. I will say that. Like, it is an entertaining figure to listen to, and I like the fact that it stirs up the pot.
Where's he from? He's from Britain, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from England.
Bro, listen, you're more conservative than that dude is on any given day. Okay? Just to get it off that, let's get the topic off that guy so much, right? Because he's caused like riots over here and shit. Like
I've seen it. Like, but those people causing the riots are Antifa, who are ironically enough quite fascist.
Okay. Again, let's all step back a second and realize there's a whole spectrum here, right, of politics. I want to make the point that most of those people, most people in politics are there for some type of reason. They're on some power trip. Like Charles will just say they as a large group, right? And I'm saying
as a collective. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'll say most, right? I'll say most people are in politics are there for some nefarious reasons, right? Personal gain.
They want power.
Yeah, power. Yeah. Power.
Mainly because they've got all the money they need, and then they just the only levels above money are jumping into the power game, which
so let's put it in a game theory mode, right? Like game theory is the mathematics of conflict, right? That's not me. That's somebody else. You guys can Google that one. That's John Nash or somebody. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's John Nash. He made game theory. That schizophrenic guy from Beautiful Mind. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I can't remember who's.
Bro, I promise game theory is essential for making a good AI. Okay, you want to, I mean, most of the time when anybody makes an AI, like IBM or Google, they make it play a game with humans, right? Okay, so, shit. So we gamify the political arena, right? You're familiar with Democracy 3. We've talked about it 100 times. It's a great game for understanding politics. So in that game, when fascism appears, right, when you have the blending of a corporate power with the government, right, that excludes a minority, right, like see Germany, See Trump campaign, right? Then Antifa appears. Okay, much like if Joker was robbing a bank, then Batman appears. You know what I'm saying? Antifa are anti-fascists, are the most radical of the anarchist, communist, anarcho-communist movement, you know, red, black, or just all black. But they only appear when there is fascism. We didn't see Antifa in the 90s in America. We didn't see Antifa at all during the Obama.
I think, to be honest,
it's a response to
that's not there. Like as far as I'm concerned, like
fascism is very strong in America, bro. Like I was saying, it's on our statues and stuff. Like Charles was just talking about it.
We are getting dangerously, well, I should say you guys are getting dangerously close to merging corporations with
shit, we've done that. That's our big thing. That's our big
and it's getting worse. But my issue with them,
you taught us that. You guys, Hudson Bay Company, right? Hudson Bay Company, that is still around to this day. If you buy fur, if you buy anything that has fur on it, right, I guarantee that fur was killed by somebody and then sold to the Hudson Bay Company. Okay?
Yeah.
Then there was this whole thing where they fucking, like, you guys took over India. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, we did. We did, and we enslaved in India.
Yeah, and let a whole company run it. Like, let the East Indian Company ran India. Okay? We have not got that far yet. We don't have, like, it's not like we have a factory of kids that are just putting together iPhones or, sorry, this just in. I have to correct myself. We do have multiple factories full of children making iPhones.
All right then. Like, I'll throw them a bone. Like, I'll say what my main issue is with Antifa. They don't seem to target the real issue. It's like they're attacking trolls. That's all they're doing. They're attacking trolls and they're destroying local businesses. They're not going to the heart of the issue. Like, if they was going to the heart of the issue, I'd be like, yeah, go Antifa. I'd be all for it. But they're barking up the wrong tree. That's my main issue. If they was going for the real issues, then I'd be in full support of them, to be honest. But I don't see them attacking the right problem. That's my main issue with them. And I have an issue with them just screaming Nazi everywhere. Even like anyone that's left of Pol Pot is alt-right Nazi, and it's ridiculous. They're attacking just individuals and trolls and ruining people's lives for seemingly no reason. So just that's the issue I have with them. It's just they're not effective in what they do. And, yeah, I'll admit that you do definitely have a problem over there. I just don't think they're the solution. I don't like that solution at all, because it's kind of fashy, but it's ironic. It's kind of funny as well because they're similar to how I was like 10 years ago. Like maybe if I was 10 years younger when this happened, then I'd probably be on board with them. But I don't know. I feel like I'm matured since then.
I'm not on board. Listen, I don't get out in the streets with a fucking black bandana on. Okay, I do a lot of jokes about how it's ineffective to do the. Okay, check this out, man. When inside of an empire, this is for those watching at home. When you're inside of an empire, I'm trying to get this guy named Mike Scott in here so we can have a third person. It does not work. I give him the link and it doesn't work. What should I do? Just invite his email?
I don't know. Did you give him the URL of this?
Yeah, I'm giving the URL. and it doesn't let them in. Maybe cut and paste it into a browser.
Yeah, I just paste the URL into the browser and just go to it. Like, I can't see how maybe I don't have any option to add people. Like, maybe you've got an add people option.
Or I can add you through email, right?
Yeah, through the external chat. Like, you add him in the external chat, like add people, and then you should be able to see that little green camera icon.
I wonder if have we gotten too meta for the whole thing? No, we're still talking about politics. I'm trying to get the guy in the room so we have a third. It's always nice to have a third.
Yeah.
He said that just brings him to the Hangout app, which I'm not downing him. The link doesn't work. Do Gmail.
The Hangout app, like, you can join through the Hangout app though, can't you?
I'm just gonna invite him through his email, see what happens. I can invite him through the Hangout app through his email too. I mean, like, I'm just gonna try to do this a couple different ways. Paste. That's totally him. Invite. So he should be getting a ring right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ring. Again, I'd like to thank our one viewer. I'd like to remind you that your comments drive the content. And I haven't checked external chat in a while, but
you probably should.
I don't like to check external chat. We should probably just task somebody of doing that. Like, hey man, can you just?
I'll do it in future. I'll leave it open because, like, I've got a ridiculous amount of RAM. It won't clog up my computer at all.
I'll keep opening it. It's no big deal. We're at like the half-hour lull where we kind of like go, yeah, more coffee.
Yeah. Your dog did a little false positive before. It was climbing on the sofa, like almost as if, like, I was like, it's not been an hour yet. I said, what?
No, the dog has done that recently for any car that sounds like hers. Oh man, I was So total side note, my wife's car has been recalled. Like, we get a letter in the mail that says, sorry, this car is not fit for the road. Like, whoa. Well, thanks for telling us, you know? Yeah. And so we have to turn it in probably next week or so. We have to turn this car in to Ford and get another one. So fingers crossed that Ford will let us trade in for an electric car, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or at least a hybrid. Okay, yeah, I'm in the middle of the spectrum. I think a lot of people are in the middle of the spectrum when it comes to politics. Very few people are at those, like, way far extremes, you know?
Yeah.
Because you've got to admit, at the very far extremes are some pretty fucking odd behavior, you know?
Yeah, on the extremes of both ends of the spectrum, it's pretty crazy, and things are just heating up more and more, and it's just, both sides seem to be making things worse, and there doesn't seem to be a clear answer of what we could do about it, besides, like, making sure there's a third movement, like a combination of centrists, people, center left, center right, like just general, like, classical liberal types, just people that are pro free speech in general. Just anyone that's pro free speech just need to come together and be like, we don't like this identity politics, guys. Just stop, stop. But that means normal people kind of coming together. We got a message. We got a comment, by the way, saying that we should tell them how weird CSUB got with potentially hosting Milo.
Okay. Great. Awesome.
I'm not sure what that CUSB is.
So in this town, town I'm in, we have almost all the towns in America have, I'm going to go off camera here while I talk at length. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can, like, talk and smoke and cuss, you know? So California State University, CSU, right? Yeah. California State University, rather than have one big campus somewhere, has campuses in all the major cities or a lot of the major cities in California. So you could go to, like, Cal State Berkeley, Cal State Bakersfield, Cal State Fresno, I'm sure, right? Like there's like 100 Cal State whatever, right? It's a state university and they're decentralized for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's our big university here, and then there's a smaller one that's called like Bakersfield College, right? So at Cal State University Bakersfield, they wanted to bring Milo, the youth Republicans did, right? That exact party that you're talking about. Can we just call them the trolls and get over with? Like, can we just get over that? Like, I mean, like I'm trollish, right? I mean, I have the tendency to troll. I am not one of those guys because a lot of those guys are like white supremacists and shit, dude. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, a lot of it's
You've
just
been an anon, you know.
they like winding people up because people are so sensitive about it.
So they play like they're white supremacists.
There's certainly some of them that do actually believe that on the far alt-right, but a lot of it is just satire. It's winding people up just for the sake of it.
Okay,
like,
so we are talking about the alt-right here, though.
we're talking about Paul, basically. There's just
in general.
We're talking about Paul and
yeah.
I can't shit on Paul because they're
right
so,
again.
Yeah, like I have respect for Paul. And yeah, that's generally what I meant. But when I was saying this sort of new right, it goes from the sort of trolley sort of Paul type over to the more serious Ben Shapiro types, and a lot of people kind of sit somewhere in the middle between those two. Like, and it is
Cal State. Welcome to Adriana. Cal State Fresno, I'm sure. She's got to stop watching us though, so that right, it's a state university and they're decentralized. She's in the future now too, because she's in the Hangout and she's like about 2 minutes ahead. I guess our big university here, and then there's a smaller one that's called like Bakersfield College, right? Stop, please. At Cal State University Bakersfield. You're in the Hangout. You're in the Hangout now. The Republican, you got to close the YouTube. You're talking about Can we just call them? Not yet. Over that, like, I mean, like, I'm trollish. The most chaotic part of the show right now.
So I was realizing that I had the YouTube channel going on, and you were talking,
cool.
and I was
That's
like, "Why
fine.
am I?" I was trying to figure out who was talking at what rate and how much I needed to, like, how much more coffee I needed to drink to be able to understand that fast.
Right. I was amazed by how how far back in the YouTube gives us a good buffer so they can cut our stream, I guess.
That's a good couple of minutes, that is.
Yeah. Okay, welcome. This is Adriana, a commenter from a couple of episodes ago. I think maybe episode 18. She did some awesome commentary. Yeah. And we appreciate that, and we appreciate you joining the conversation.
It was interesting to learn about aliens building pyramids for a good hour and a half.
Well, yeah. See, I don't watch afterwards. Like, I try not to watch afterwards. I watched a little bit of episode 19 just so I could be a better host, but I try not to watch afterwards because we cover such crazy, chaotic stuff that.
I wouldn't say it's like crazy, chaotic. I would just say that it's probably like topics that people kind of think about sometimes, but never really say anything because people will probably be like, "Well, you're the only one who thinks that."
Yeah, and a lot more of us think it than
people will probably think more than you think.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yes.
Like when you're at a party, really. Yeah. Like the sort of conversation you'll have with your friends behind closed doors at some party when everyone's drunk.
It really is like that. Yeah, it's like a living room conversation where we're a free speech zone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Still trying to work on the brand marketing.
Hey, hi. Coming across the futon. She's a brat, so she doesn't listen.
That's okay. I should probably let my dogs out at some point.
I named my cat after Chairman Mao.
Oh, word? Okay, Mao.
Now, here. You want to say hello? No. No, unless you're going to give me a treat. I was. I took a China class because I'm studying political science, which is because you guys were just talking about political identity.
Mm.
And I was sitting in this China class, and I was starting to read about Chairman Mao and all the crap that he did, you know. And then she was laying at my feet, and I'm like, "You're a little dictator. You pretty much rule my life, cat." So then her first name was Oreo because she's black and white, obviously. And then I started calling her Mao, and she started responding to it. And lo and behold, she is named after a dictator. And when I was in another China class, the history of China, I told the story about how I named my cat Mao. My professor, who's from China, named her cat. Yeah, I guess that works because Mao means cat in Chinese.
Mastodon's been reincarnated as a as an animal.
It makes sense. Actually, like when you think about it, like the whole history of China and the Great Leap Forward was not really that great. Great Leap Forward was a movement where Chinese farmers were being pressured to produce more and more food for the richer population, but they were ending up starving themselves instead. So I think 25 to 50 million people died.
Oh yeah, a lot of people like, and a lot of people don't seem to know that part of history either. Mao, bad man.
China, I guess, produces a lot of cheap goods, and communism is rampant and all that. But I don't know. I spend a lot of time like studying and reading and all this crap. So there's no one ever good enough to tell it to you either. Because when I start saying something, they're like, "Oh, you mean communist China?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess there's many different parts of China's history except that. But it's good that you focus on just that, you know. But you don't know about Chinese food."
Shit. Well, they've seen some kung fu movies. You know, at the very least, they've seen a couple kung fu movies, so you can like start talking about a certain dynasty and just related to kung fu flicks. I don't know.
Or Bruce Lee. You good old Bruce Lee. He was.
Yeah, but people know Bruce Lee, or I'm just really amazed that China has so many languages and people think it's like Chinese. Like
there's lots of different dialects of Chinese. Like he spoke Cantonese or something, and it was quite different. Even just listening to him say some words that I knew, and I was like, yeah, this sounds completely different.
It's also hilarious to think that there are so many different like provinces and different regions in that area. It's not all just like China, you know?
Yeah.
Welcome to Mike Scott.
What's up, guys?
Oh, you're the one who lured me in the crowd.
Right on.
I think that was him.
It's only been like about a year ago since I've been looking into like random Chinese philosophy and stuff. That's mainly because I took up Tai Chi, so I was looking up like the whole idea of Qi and just like Chinese medicine, just the whole sort of everything that it encompasses. So I found it quite interesting. Really, I never really saw myself getting into it, but yeah, it's interesting concept.
It's interesting because like, well, for me, I have like 2 associate's degrees in political science and history, so I've started my education off by wanting to learn history, you know? So when I actually like go in and I learn more and I'm like, holy crap, that actually happened, and I try to tell someone else, they're like, no way, and I'm like, you're gonna doubt me, but you're over here reading Wikipedia. So
history repeats itself so often as well. What was that?
I'm not good at awkward conversations, but I've been watching this stream for at least a month now, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a lot of our stuff isn't grounded in any actual historical facts, so much as something we've heard somewhere once, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things too, like Yeah, it's political science. I try to represent the spectrum, like the compass, like there's various ideas that people can subscribe to, even though I don't subscribe to any in particular.
Thought it was interesting how you were talking earlier about, well, because I was listening, but I was waiting for people to leave so I could actually talk without getting judged, because the person that was here is always judging me for my political ideas.
Oh, right on.
Leave, please, because I don't want to bother. But
Yeah,
I use the compass myself, and I actually fall a little center left, I think. Like, it's interesting how actually you can fall on that center spectrum without really knowing how far am I going to go left or right,
Yeah. A lot of the people that I know, like, there isn't really anyone that agrees with me politically. Like, a lot of the people that I know, like, even philosophically as well, I associate with so many different kinds of people that it's rare for me to ever encounter someone that agrees with me on something. Yeah, I just mainly look to the quality of people's character. I didn't really care what people believe. So,
yeah, that's interesting to approach that here, where Justin and I live in the same town. I think for our layout, it's completely red for this county, but anywhere like past the city limits, it's completely different. So most of the university students that attend like CSU Bakersfield or Bakersfield College, they're, I guess, the outlier, unless they're just trying to get financial aid money, then that's different, I guess.
That's pretty good. That's a good. I'm sorry. That's a good joke. That was. I mean, like it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like truth equals humor, folks. If you're trying to keep track at home, that was pretty good. I agree. I went to a different school. I went to a school in Oklahoma, but I'm not from here. Like my wife's from here, but again, she went to a school in Oklahoma and came back here. A lot of people go to school here and then they head out somewhere else, or they migrate here for some reason. Bakersfield's a crossroads. But Milo tried to come here and we shut him down. It did not happen. There was a lot of advisement of the school, not even threatening the school. Just like we as concerned parents and citizens, we would like you to increase your security for this event because of previous events, and then just like link them to articles of previous incidences, And so, CSUB did not give them the permit to have him as a speaker.
Didn't come up with that money. They wanted like a $20,000 like was it appearance fee or something?
Yeah.
But that was not selling tickets, so it was like on behalf of our student relatives. I don't even pay attention to it. That was like a choice on their part, because they didn't really plan that out very well. I mean, I would have liked to hear it just because, like, it's always funny to see someone who's, like, so much less talented than you actually give them become, like, a zealot, and attract everybody and who knows what,
Right.
I think it's best to have these things out here, to be honest, because otherwise, like, there's still going to be people that agree with him, and if you either outright no platform or you make it difficult for people to speak in public, it doesn't really make the issue go away. I really didn't agree with him with the sort of riots around it, because there was people that really wanted to hear him speak, and the more controversial people are, the more people riot, the more it feeds him. You need to realize he's a troll, and he feeds off that. It sort of adds fuel to the fire. It strengthens him in a lot of ways. So
I thought it was pretty interesting too, because my brother was at Berkeley when he was attempting to speak there, and when those whole riots went off, I think in February of this year. And I don't know. It's like, I know he's a troll, and I know that like there's no real standing point for him to actually like legitimately university or somewhere else, But like, people get mad at me for saying you should just let him speak because at least he has the freedom to speak.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with like Richard Spencer and any of those like further right, whatever you want to call them.
Oh, right.
You can't call them Nazis or whatever. But like, I mean, sure, their opinion is wrong, but at least you're giving them an option to speak. The more you speak, and the more you're wrong.
Yeah, you need to demonstrate why they're wrong, like to discuss it, to say, well, this is why it isn't true, like just to have open debate about it, because like, well, they might be wrong, they might be right, so it's best to be open to new ideas, even if those ideas are sort of detestable to you at first. Like I'll sit there and listen to anyone, no matter how hateful they are. It is, yeah. I think there's value in listening to what they have to say, nonetheless, like without judgment and sort of completely losing your mind over it.
Yeah, it seems like people are. Well, I also like. I'm a senior at CSU Bakersfield, so I'm almost done getting my bachelor's. So this semester I took a class called Political Psychology, and it kind of analyzes how people use their emotions more than their rational mind. Yeah. And that's completely true. When I did the research on it, there are a lot of different like things that say people don't think rationally. They would rather like instantaneously think with their emotions and then wonder why it went bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I don't know.
Thinking it's not healthy to think with your emotions.
It's easier to take a step back and think about it and then act, but I don't think that ever happens. I think like 99% of the people that I know tend to react first and think first.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them, you know? So,
I
don't know.
Have you heard of Jordan Peterson? And that
No. Honestly, no. I think I've heard of
I think he's a psychologist of some sort. I can't remember exactly, like a political psychologist or something, or like a social psych. I can't remember what kind of psychologist, but nonetheless, like he got he basically blew up over the compelled speech and the forcing people to use certain pronouns and stuff. And a lot of his lectures are on YouTube, and he sort of gives a lot of life advice, and the thing that is sort of encouraging people to do is to take responsibility more than anything. And he's one of the people that's helped, me and a lot of people sort of get their lives together. Really, it'd be worth listening to for you, because he seems to talk along the same vein of what you're currently sort of learning. So it'll be worth looking him up. Really, he's an interesting character.
Yeah, I will probably, because I think I just got done with finals. I'm gonna binge watching YouTube videos on freaking Ben Shapiro. Like I literally this is hilarious because I realized it. I watched one video on Ben Shapiro to figure out who he was because I had never heard of him. Well, I'd kind of heard him in like some talks, but I didn't know what kind of pundit or whatever he is, So I watched one Ben Shapiro video, and I looked at my to watch videos later on, the recommendations, and it's all Ben Shapiro. What a word! It was hilarious.
He might give YouTube some type of. He might pay a YouTube fee just for that to happen. Like he might.
Algorithm. It recommends different things based on what you watch.
Yeah.
My YouTube recommendations is usually music, makeup, politics, and horror. It's pretty much person. I've been looking for a really good horror movie lately, but I can't find one because it's so indecisive.
Yeah, mine's like Dan TDM, which is this gamer who's like a rock star amongst 8-year-olds. My kid loves him, so I get everything Dan TDM.
Are you familiar with PewDiePie?
Yeah,
I know. Again, it's one of those people I know of him. I would have to look him up to actually have seen one of his videos. I'm aware of that he streamed some gaming, like he was on Twitch or some such streaming service.
yeah,
He said some inappropriate language.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's an alt-right guy for sure. Or he's one of those trolls for sure.
He's not alt right at all. Like he's just a typical shit poster. Like he's just right.
I group all those in the same category. All the shit posters. See, like just like you were saying, Right of Linen.
Because like you have the shit posters, which is a collection of people from the center left to the centrist and to the center right. Then you have the alt-right, and then you have the alt-right. The alt-right are civic nationalists, and the alt-right are ethno-nationalists, if I've got that right. And it's not good just to group anyone that's left of Mao into whatever. They're all alt-right. Like it's not a good thing to do.
Back in my day, the internet was full of people with sense, and now it's just a bunch of trolls everywhere.
Like if I don't know, because I was born in 1991, which makes me 26, but I'm still a millennial. You know, Is it weird? Like because I like obviously I can't go back in time and be born earlier. You know, that would be like a little bit. Weird. My mom was 16 when she had me, like right after. I don't know if I want to go back a little bit further. And my dad was 31 when he knocked her up too, so that was a little weirder. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I should have been born in the 80s because at least I'd have like a little bit longer to not be an asshole. You know, like I would feel like I would know a little bit more and have a little bit more like life experience, and people would listen to me because I'm older and I know more. But that doesn't happen.
Not really. People don't listen to us anyway.
Yeah, no one's listening to anyone in their 30s. Trust me. Being an 80s kid is going to make you an asshole because of all of the television programming and music of the time was very much self-centered programming, right? So, in the 90s, at least, it was more communal. It was more like, go Power Rangers. We combine our powers, and now we can clean up the Earth with Captain Planet.
The Planet Earth one?
Yeah, the Planet Earth, Captain Planet, man, right? Okay, so the 90s had this
propaganda.
But it's still, the 90s had this awesome programming, and even the music in the 90s was like lots of collaborative stuff between like...
Yeah, it's communist. It's communist propaganda, bro.
Communism. It's just synergy. It was like hard rock music mixed with rap. That was a big thing that came out of the 90s, right? So like, no, it wasn't communist propaganda. Nothing in America is ever really communist except for a few of my friends.
Dude, you had a KGB agent even outright say that the KGB was sending people over there to slowly start pushing communist propaganda. It's been said.
Cells. Yeah, sleeper cells. It's a real thing.
Yeah, and it's gotten worse and worse. Why do you think you see all these communists now? Like they outright have like the communist flag out in the open, and it's the equivalent of waving the Nazi flag. The communist butchered so many people, dude. Like take any of those any of these communist leaders, they massacred people on to an unprecedented scale. Like to say that it's a harmless ideology is dangerous. They're both both the Nazis and the communists they're authoritarians, and they both have a lot of blood on their hands, and they're not good ideologies, either one of them.
I agree absolutely that no authoritarian ideology is okay. Neither the Nazis, which are basically just centralist in a total authoritarian mode, right? Communists, left authoritarianism, and then the far right authoritarianism. Whew. Oh man, I can't. Oh, good. That's not even. It's beyond Nazism. It's slavery and feudal lords in a rape fest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's just that waving a flag like that out in the open and thinking that it's okay, and a lot of them don't know the history. A lot of them haven't
It's
sort of
much
gone
better to
over.
be moderate to be somewhere near the center or hovering around there. Again, if you go too far down on the spectrum into like a decent.
Yeah, you get to anarchism and complete deconstruction
you
of
get
the
to
state.
everybody.
I don't believe in that.
You get back to the same thing. It's like it's either everybody basically having their own gardens and their own fucking herds of animals, right? In a very or everybody's inventing, everybody's sharing things in a very decentralized fashion at this point. I guess everybody's just 3D printing their own coffee mugs, right? Or on the far right side of a completely a liberated environment, again, you have those feudal lords with the slavery and the rape fest.
Yeah.
Only on the left do I see a divergence on the scale. Do you know what I'm saying?
The people on the left are the biggest issue that I see at the moment, to be honest, because they're the ones that are trying to take free speech away. The people on the right, most people on the right don't want to take free speech away. At least at the moment,
I've got to tell you this story. Okay, the Center for Disease, and Adriana, you may have read this recently.
CDC.
The CDC thing, right? Okay, so here I'm gonna go let the dogs in. My wife's on her way home from church. Can you summarize the CDC thing for Draco and our audience?
So the CDC, well, I've just like barely read the headlines, but I guess I can kind of break it down. I think there was an order or so that kind of blocked the CDC from using words like science-based and evidence-based and what's that? What is the word? Autistic. And
there's like 7 words they blocked the Center for Disease Control from using. 2 of which
for disease control.
Yeah, Center for Disease Control.
Jesus Christ.
Science-based, evidence-based, fetus, transgender. A couple more. You can look this up. It's true. It happened. The government banned words from a scientific organization.
You know,
that's messed up.
With different words, though, they're gonna be like the real scientific word there. You know.
Yeah.
The replacement, the replacement is oh my goodness, I couldn't even believe this when I saw it. In line with customs and wishes. I was like, what are we living in some fucking Harry Potter world? What do you mean in line of customs and wishes? Like that was the
George Carlin comes to mind. Do you remember that George Carlin when he did that stand up and he was talking about replacing language and now then disabled people need to be called differently abled and stuff like that. It's just George Carlin is turning in his grave right now. He's doing barrel rolls in his grave.
George Carlin CDC. We'll probably pull it up. George Carlin CDC. We'll probably pull this up.
That is the right name. I'm not thinking of someone different.
No, George Carlin's the absolute guy. I'm just going to pull it up. I saw the meme earlier. I just want to see if I could Google it already. But yeah, George Carlin had the 7 words you couldn't say on television, and it was part of his bit because of being a live act. He could say these words, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like literally, the CDC, like the Center for Disease Control, like they stop viruses and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of important that they use science-based or evidence-based.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Not stuff just in line with customs and wishes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. We need to be accurate. I really detest this whole sort of movement of censoring speech, of saying that you can't say these words or these words are toxic, so you need to use different words, like even curse words. Like this bothers me. Like my mom always said to me when I was growing up, "Oh well, you're educated enough to not need to use these words, so you can use different words." I'm like, well, no, there's nonsensical, because yes, you're essentially saying here's this arbitrary list of words and you can't use them because they're offensive. And I'm like, well, I could be equally and more offensive without using any of those words. So what's the point in having them? Like, it's nonsensical to me. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
I do agree with you. Yeah, there are studies that show there are studies that show that people who use curse words or cuss words are actually pretty intelligent. There are plenty of studies to show that people who think negatively about projects or aspects of things, like actually deconstruct things or are able to very harshly critique or be very critical of ideas or concepts, have a higher intelligence. So these things that society tells us to look away, like shun, are actually aspects of the human mind that should be cultivated, right? Like nerds are very much the top of the nerd, dork, and geek hierarchy. You know what I'm saying?
I want to tell a story real quick because this is hilarious to me. Most of my experience as a person is going to school and hopefully making enough money so that I don't become homeless, right? So I was in class, in my political psychology class, and my professor is he's a realist, but he's also an asshole, you know? So and we were learning about the Milgram experiment. You know what that?
I'm not familiar with that now.
No, nor am I.
Stanley Milgram was a scientist who he pretty much came up with the idea that people will follow authority if they feel that that person is actually a legitimate authoritative figure.
This rings a bell, actually. Yeah.
What he did was he brought people in, and it was a learner-teacher kind of scenario going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And it had a switch that administered bolts of electricity.
Yeah, I do know this experiment, yeah.
And so people, when they think that someone is actually a legitimate authority figure, they'll listen to them up until the point where I think the maximum scale of that thing was 450 volts, and they got all the way to, I think, 130 or so.
Yeah.
And the person on the other side of the room was an actor, but when they come to the conclusion that if it was actually a real person, they would have been dead by that point, you know?
Yeah, they were silent at the end of it, wasn't he? And it just kept on shocking him, even though that he wasn't even saying anything.
Yeah, as long as the person will take responsibility, then it's all good, you know? So I thought it was hilarious when the professor asked, okay, well, how many of you would actually continue shocking a person? And I'm like, I guess I will. Come on. But if the person is already dead, what's shocking them going to do, you know?
Jeez.
But I don't know.
It's good that you're honest. It's good that you can be honest with yourself and not sort of lie to yourself. There's to be self-aware is the first step, really. Like, I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I rebel against authority all the time. I've done it ever since I was a kid.
Well, this study was also conducted in, I believe, the 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
So people were like, as long as I trust the person to do this, then I'm fine with following all the orders, you know? But I think now, like if someone asked me that question now and said, hey, do you think you could shock someone if someone told you? I'm like, yeah, because come on, like we all conform on some level or another, you know? But I also would be like, why are you going to tell me to shock someone, you know? But I don't know.
Actors have a methodology of dissociating too, like method acting, or assuming a role or character, right? Gives an actor, specifically actors, the ability to perform. It's like this one actor shot the president in the back of the head, yelled some Latin shit, jumped off a balcony, broke his foot, hobbled out of the theater.
Was that? When was this? Are you sure it wasn't actually history?
Or like John Wilkes Booth, man. I thought I was playing Zoolander for a second. I thought I was actually doing some scene from the movie Zoolander, but nope. Actually, American history. I think that John Wilkes Booth was this actor. Stood up and yelled 6 separate Tyrannus, shot the president, jumped off a stage. All I'm saying is, if you're listening, Matthew Perry, Specifically Matthew Perry from 90210. Am I saying the right name? You should really.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Oh, that was a great movie. That was all about community. It was like, hey, we're a bunch of high school kids that get along. I'm like, that doesn't exist. Where's that? We're all partying down and driving awesome cars. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, and any sort of like any sort of group, they're always going to have some sort of, in my experience anyway, they always have some sort of disagreement and they're always sort of arguing. Like,
as it should be. Yeah, like a group should always be having a discourse or an argument or a discussion that people don't particularly agree on, or else, like you were saying earlier, it becomes an echo chamber. You know what I mean? Like
that's bad. That's why I don't agree with no platforming people, because it creates echo chambers, and I don't like the idea of echo chambers at all.
And censorship, yeah, censorship inevitably creates that effect. I think, honest to goodness, buzzwords like when it happens with the transfer of ideas, like we'll have a discussion like we're having here, and maybe one or two words gets mentioned a bunch, especially as we come closer and closer to like a consensus or a negotiated point. And then people overhearing or people who observe the discussion later will catch on to that buzzword and use it as a simple justification for their argument later.
Yeah, yeah.
And that happens on both sides, all sides.
Yeah. The overuse of words, like it dilutes the words as well. This is why I approve of just calling everyone a Nazi. Like everyone's a Nazi. It's like, no, you're diluting these terms. And it comes to racist as well. They just call everyone a racist. Like
check this out. The negative or demonization, let's live this way, of a term, right? Like people say social justice warrior, like it's a bad fucking thing. That's a good thing. Okay, like I'm from the land where you used to white knight, man. Okay, I used to white knight for years. Forums would be on fire. People would be arguing. Uh-oh, hold on, watch this. Here comes the light.
You lose.
The dogs are outside, so we didn't get Anubis dog jumping on the back. Okay, so that concludes our show.